Shabbat Shalom. I think.
There we go. Shabbat Shalom for a few more minutes. Let me just attach my microphone. We're going to take a few moments to center ourselves and prepare ourselves for this service. We'll get to Selichot in a moment, but for a few more brief minutes, it is Shabbat. And part of what Havdalah does is it sort of stretches those last few moments of Shabbat out for just as long as we can savor them. So I'm going to give everyone just a few moments to reflect, to perhaps close your eyes, to center yourself and your thoughts. And as we prepare to start the blessings that start with an igun, perhaps we can allow this melody to open up our minds and our souls. I always love the idea that music is really what our tradition tells us is the tool that we are supposed to use to prepare ourselves for prayer. That a melody that has no words, there's nothing you can make a mistake about because the melody is really what's inside your heart. But that's how we prepare ourselves for the words, the sacred words of our tradition. So in a moment, we will begin the nigun that invites in the Havdalah blessings. And as we do, I want to invite you to open yourselves up to whatever this service can do for you, whatever brought you in this evening. And to also perhaps think about how you are preparing yourselves to return to your truest self and to all the aspects of yourself that you want to revisit and celebrate in this holiday season. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei minei v'samim borei minei v'samim lay lay la 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 lay lay la 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 lay ya la 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 ya la 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 ya la la ya la 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 ya la 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 ya la 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 ya la 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 ya la la Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei me'orei ha'esh borei me'orei ha'esh yai lai la 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 yai lai la 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 ya la 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 ya la 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 ya la la yai lai la 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 yai lai la 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 ya la 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 ya la 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 ya la la.
Before we sing the last blessing, I was thinking that this is the melody. Of course, we sing every Havdalah. The Havdalah we make at the end of Yom Kippur. This is the melody too. And time during this time of year can feel like the days go very long or it goes by in a flash. So in just about 2.5 weeks, you'll see us in our white robes up there with our Havdalah candles, and our holy day season will have come and gone. Not the whole thing, but it will have happened. So as we say this blessing, which separates the holiness from the ordinary, really is separating this moment of holiness from the moments of holiness that will come. So as we sing this blessing, try and take each and every moment as they come, knowing that we will separate again and again and again what was from what will be. Let's sing the blessing.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam hamavdil ben kodesh lechol hamavdil ben kodesh lechol yai lai la 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 yai lai la 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 ya la 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 ya la 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 ya la la yai lai la 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 yai lai la 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 ya la 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 ya la 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 ya la la Eliyahu hanavi Eliyahu hatishbi Eliyahu Eliyahu hagiladi bimera ve'yaveinu yavo eleinu im Mashiach ben David im Mashiach ben David Eliyahu hanavi Eliyahu hatishbi Eliyahu hagiladi.
Shavua Tov, everyone, to a sweet and good week. We'll talk about Selichot in just a moment, but as we prepare, I'll share with you a piece of poetry entitled Elul, an Island in the Year. Before we slip too quickly into the season of the soul, let there be a Sabbath, of Sabbaths for the heart. Before the music of creation's majesty, let there be a silent praise of existence. Before the feast of sanctified words, let there be a poetry of solitude. Before we enter the palaces of prayer, let us find within ourselves a place of calm. Before we revel in the wondrous and sublime, let there be an honest inward gaze. Before the rites and ceremonies of awe, let there be quieter days, an island of attentiveness.
I shared this piece of music last night at Shabbat. This is a setting of Psalm 27 that really just made its way into the hearts of, I think, every cantor in the country when we heard this melody for the first time. Achat Sha'alti. Something about this prayer and the petitionary nature of it, asking God to allow us to dwell together with whatever God is for you. So I offer this one last time before we hit the holidays so that we can steep in the words of this psalm as our tradition suggests. And I offer you this melody as a balm for your soul as well. Achat sha'ati me'et Adonai, achat sha'ati ota avakesh, achat sha'ati me'et Adonai, achat sha'ati ota avakesh, shivti shivti beveit Adonai, shivti shivti kol yemei chayai, לחזות בנועם אדוני ולבקר בהיכלו, לחזות בנועם אדוני, to gaze upon the beauty of Adonai. One thing, I ask you, Adonai, to be with you all of my life. Achat sha'ati me'et Adonai, achat sha'ati ota avakesh.
So we come here on this Selichot. Selichot is the end of Shabbat, the week before Rosh Hashanah. And when Rosh Hashanah falls, without enough time in between, we are given an extra Shabbat. So even though we will have one more Shabbat before Rosh Hashanah, the rabbis knew that if we tried to prepare next Saturday night and then Monday is Rosh Hashanah, we really wouldn't have enough time. So this is the beginning. This is when you do the work of preparation. Perhaps you have special things you use for the holidays. You take them down from the cabinet and wash them. Or you take out the clothes that you might wear, either here or at home. Perhaps you write cards, or perhaps you make calls, or perhaps you do other things to prepare. But this is the moment. We've been saying all Elul, we prepare, and this is the moment where we really, really begin. And you'll start to hear some of the music that you'll hear on Rosh Hashanah, on Yom Kippur, during these days of awe, as a way to start telling ourselves, it's time. It's time for returning. In Ecclesiastes, we read, to everything there is a season, and a time to every purpose under heaven. Now is the time for turning. It's early still, but before we know it, the leaves will begin to turn from green to red to orange. The birds are beginning to turn and soon will head once more toward the south. Those who identify as snowbirds may also eventually be heading down south. The animals are beginning to turn toward storing their food for the winter. For leaves and birds and animals, the turning comes instinctively. But for us, turning doesn't come so easily. It takes an act of will for us to make a turn. It means breaking with old habits. It means admitting that we have been wrong, and this is never easy. It means losing face. It means starting all over again, and this is always painful. It means saying, I am sorry. It means recognizing that we have the ability to change. These things are terribly hard to do, but unless we turn, we will be trapped forever in yesterday's ways. God, the one we will call Avinu Malkeinu, help us to turn from callousness to sensitivity, from hostility to love, from pettiness to purpose, from envy to contentment, from carelessness to discipline, from fear to faith. Turn us around and bring us back to you. Revive our lives as at the beginning. And most of all, dear God, turn us toward each other. For in isolation, there is no life. You'll notice we didn't hand anything out to you this evening. This service is to be a gift, to hear, to listen, to close your eyes if you like, to just listen to the melody, to hear some words, and to think of ourselves at the beginning once again. Welcome back. We're all here together, and we will return.
Hashivenu, Hashivenu, Adonai Elecha, Venashuva, Venashuva, Kadesh, Kadesh, Yameinu Kekedem, Hashivenu, Hashivenu, Adonai Elecha, Venashuva, Venashuva, Kadesh, Kadesh, Yameinu Kekedem, Kadesh, Kadesh, Yameinu Kekedem.
Our mission is to plant ourselves at the gates of hope, not the prudent gates of optimism, which are somewhat narrower, nor the stalwart, boring gates of common sense, nor the stringent gates of self-righteousness, which creak on shrill and angry hinges. People cannot hear us there, they cannot pass through. Nor the cheerful, flimsy garden gate of everything's gonna be all right, but a different, sometimes lonely place of truth-telling about your own soul, first of all, and its condition. The place of resistance and defiance from which you see the world both as it is and as it could be, as it will be. The place from which you glimpse not only struggle, but joy in the struggle. And we stand there, beckoning and calling, telling people what we're seeing, asking them what they see.
Adonai, Adonai, El Rachum Vechanun Adonai, 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 El Rachum Vechanun Adonai, Erech Apayim Verav Chesed Ve'emet Adonai, Notzer Chesed la'alafim, Noseh avon v'pesha v'chata'ah v'nakeh. Adonai, Adonai, El Rachum Vechanun Adonai, 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 El Rachum Vechanun Adonai.
Selichot is traditionally said very late at night. Cantor Fishbein and I, I'm guessing, had a very similar experience when we were in rabbinical and cantorial school in Jerusalem, which was having a traditional Selichot experience of it being close to midnight, if not later, being very tired after a full Shabbat, and going into the Old City, to the Western Wall, going to synagogues where we perhaps chose to sit in separate seating to get to hear great music and teaching from rabbis that we wouldn't have usually had the chance. This is a time we just actually passed a few days ago, the full moon of this month of Elul. And we know that the full moon is actually the middle of the month. And when there's just a sliver in the sky, that is when we are nearing the end. And we know that this is how we tell Jewish time, through the movement of the moon. So it's a pretty overcast day, so my assignment will be difficult, but perhaps another day this week, at night sometime, you'll notice that it's getting a little bit darker earlier. Those long summer nights are starting to creep back toward an earlier evening, which we know will make a much earlier evening soon. But to notice the moon, to notice how it is our timekeeper, a little wink in the sky to tell us the season is changing, it's almost time. So as we come to this hour of Selichot, under the canopy of what will be night, to celebrate goodness, to proclaim what is right and true, to praise, thank, and bless the great giver who gives and renews our lives. We turn to loved ones, to friends, and to our people everywhere, the whole house of Israel. And our hearts turn toward the human family. We pray for its healing. Yet hardest of all is that inward gaze, the return to ourselves, the honest reckoning of the soul, cheshbon hanefesh. We ask how to account for selfish acts, lies, and senseless anger. how to account for the shadows, the storms, the bitterness in our lives, the damage and distress we cause, how to own up to it all and to find our way back with integrity and in peace. We ask, have we the will to change? And in great rabbinic teaching, and if not now, when?
Return again, return again, return to the land of your soul. Return again, return again, return to the land of your soul. Return to who you are, return to what you are, return to where you are, born and reborn again. Return to who you are, return to what you are, return to where you are, born and reborn again. Return again, return again, return to the land of your soul. Return again, return again, return to the land of your soul. Return to who you are, return to what you are, return to where you are, born and reborn again. Return to who you are, return to what you are, return to where you are, born and reborn again. Return again, return again, return to the land of your soul. Return again, return again, return to the land of your soul.
One more piece of contemplation from the Israeli poet Yehuda Amichai. He wrote, "From the place where we are right, flowers will never grow in the spring. The place where we are right is hard and trampled like a yard, but doubts and loves dig up the world like a mole, a plow, and a whisper will be heard in the place where the ruined house once stood." This poem eloquently conveys the danger of our rigid and absolutist thinking, our stubbornness, our self-righteousness. This is the time of year where a willingness to embrace uncertainty and doubt can make room for compassion, empathy, and listening to one another. A piece of this poem appears on the wall of the Yitzhak Rabin Center, established by the Israeli government to carry on the legacy of the visionary prime minister who was assassinated in 1995. It is so hard in this oh so very confusing world that seems to be more complicated every single time we see each other, to not want to hold on to where we think we are right. It doesn't mean abandoning all your values. It doesn't mean throwing up your hands. But it means starting to soften the edges of your soul. Say, where where could I be a little bit softer? Where could I be a little bit kinder? Where could I react with a little bit less judgment? This week I had an experience. I ordered a cup of coffee at a cafe. It was very hot outside and I asked for it to be iced. She put down the coffee and I looked at the top of it. It had a sort of a different kind of lid on it. Before I even touched the cup, I said, "It's the wrong coffee. I asked for iced." And she said to me, "Ma'am, it's just a different top. The coffee's the same inside." And I reached down and I touched the cup, and indeed it was iced coffee. And for just a moment, I had a feeling where I said, I let my eyes deceive me. And sometimes we have to actually reach out and touch and say, what are we looking at? And if that's how you feel about coffee, or I feel about coffee, you can imagine how often we do that for other things. So this is a time where we tune in. We don't make assumptions. We don't make judgments. We reach out and we try to touch our world to see what is the way it is and what is the way it could be. The possibility of promise and peace in this new year. We'll sing once more, and then we'll hear our ancient wake-up call, our ancient alarm clock, bringing us into the season, the sound of the shofar.
Ose shalom v'bromav, hu yaseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael ve'imru amen. Yaseh shalom, shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. 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 Yaseh shalom, shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael.
Hear, O Israel, hear now the heartbeat of Israel. In the quiet space between a year that is ending and a year that begins, hear the call of hope and joy, and hear the call of repentance and renewal. Hear the call to create and embrace. Hear the call to restore and heal. Hear the call to gather in the scattered sparks of divinity. And hear the call to seek the core of our humanity. Hear the call of compassion and forgiveness. Hear the call to return to our Torah, to our people, to the one who teaches love and patience, mercy of truth. Hear the commanding sound of tshuva. Hear the urgent call of tikkun.
She did. Tekiah. Shavua Tov. Shana Tova.